What's going on? What's going on, team? Welcome back to another Stock Talk. Welcome back to another week. My name is Xander with Fsly Trading Academy. And in this video, we're going to be jumping into the opportunities that we see in the markets for this week. We're going to go over the SPY, which is the S&P 500, and then we'll also go over the Nasdaq, kind of where they're at and what to expect in this next week to come. So taking a look at the SPY, which is the S&P 500, we're seeing that, we've been uptrending for some time. Probably for the last week, we've been doing very well. However, one thing that we want to pay attention to and we want to take into consideration is that we have been trading in this channel for pretty much since November, right? And so we've had this resistance right up here pretty much respected throughout this entire time. And so we are at 412 right now. We are approaching this resistance level. At the current time, the resistance is at 417. So we've got about, a few dollars before we're hitting that resistance mark. And we can potentially begin to see a bit of a correction happening in the market. And a little more confirmation on that is we're getting that from the RSI as well. We are fairly overbought. We have been pretty much all of this entire week. And so if we do get a rejection and a bit of a pullback, that wouldn't be surprising. We have been in the downtrend based on the MACD as well. So I'm not really surprised if we do see a slight correction happening in the market, in the near future. So taking a look at the Nasdaq, which we're going to be looking at the /NQ. So we did end up breaking out of this channel. We did our technical analysis based on, the charts. And so we saw this breakout happen. We ended up breaking out of the channel, and then we also broke through this SMA line, and we have been heading up to the upside as well, along with the S&P 500. Similar, we have been overbought for the last couple of days. The end of last week, we've been pretty overbought. And so we have been in a downtrend as well, or a downward direction as far as the MACD goes as well. So similar to the S&P 500, if we do see a pullback, I would not be surprised. Furthermore, if we're going to take a look at, the previous resistance that we had right up here at 13,900, we are basically at that same level here right now. So, it's not for certain that we're going to get rejected at this level. However, it's better to be prepared than to be surprised. So I'd rather be expecting a correction at this level that we're approaching here, rather than be hopeful and think that we might be breaking through to higher highs, because historically we got rejected at this point. So that's kind of the analysis on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. And now let's jump into the opportunities for this week. So everything that has to do with travel, so cruise ships or cruise line companies, airlines, all of those stocks have been pulling back a bit with the new data that's been coming out regarding the pandemic that's going on. So if we're going to take a look at the first opportunity, that's going to be AAL, and that's American Airlines. So we've seen a bit of a pullback this last week happen with this company. One thing that we want to be paying attention to is that it did pull back previously, and then we ended up seeing a bounce on this SMA level. And so if we're going to be taking a look at where we're at right now, we're also at this SMA level, and we're also approaching the oversold territory. So this might be a good time to start paying attention to, hey, is this a good opportunity to keep an eye on and jump in on once we see a bounce, if we see a bounce. MACD's been selling off in a downward trajectory. So we'll see. The thing that we want to be paying attention to is if we're going to hold this SMA line. If we break this SMA line and break that level, then, we can expect lower lows to continue. However, based on historical patterns, we've seen a bounce happen on the SMA, not once, but this one didn't even get to the SMA. We had a bit of a wick that came down, didn't even touch the SMA, and then we ended up bouncing. And we were holding fairly strong above this SMA line since basically February. You can even probably say, January, if not even earlier, November, end of November, December. So we'll see if this holds or not. If it doesn't, then obviously we're going to make lower lows. However, there is a theory to be paying attention to a potential bounce happen on this level. So this is one that we'd be paying attention to. If anything, make sure to add it to your watch list and pay attention to this, because there definitely will be a reversal if we do end up getting, any other news besides negative news regarding what's going on in the world right now. The next one that we're going to take a look at is going to be WYNN, WYNN. This one we've seen, similar to the previous one, different in, different sector. However, we have been holding above this SMA line. The technicals are fairly similar. We have been holding above this SMA line. We ended up coming down and bouncing, consolidated a little bit, and then we bounced up to the upside here, got rejected, and then now we're back to this SMA line. We are a bit, I wouldn't say really oversold, but we are, approaching this oversold territory. So if we see some form of consolidation here on this SMA line and hold of the SMA line, I can expect, something to, if some positive news comes out, we can expect a move back up to, 143, or if anything, to the very least to 136, to where it was just at. However, once again, same thing. We're watching this SMA level. If we do break this SMA level, we're definitely going to be heading down to the downside. This one also you might want to be a little bit more patient with, but the opportunity is definitely presenting itself. And just to the recent highs where we were at, that was 5%. If we're looking to previous highs, that's about 8% profit potential. So definitely one to be paying attention to. It's been doing fairly well throughout pretty much this entire year. So definitely a great opportunity for that pullback to take advantage of that pullback. The next one is going to be ROAD, ROAD. So this one, we've been actually following this one for some time since this pullback happened down here. And then we ended up catching this bounce that ran up to this upside. And then we had another pullback happen right here, and we've kind of approached this SMA line, and we're holding. So this is a critical level for this particular stock. If we do hold the SMA line, we can definitely, make higher highs back up to previous highs or recent highs, which is about 11%. If we go all the way back to historic or previous highs, that would be about 15%. So definitely one to be paying attention to. It is looking like we're about to head to the upside on the RSI and the MACD as well. We've kind of been just holding this SMA level fairly strong, basically for the last week. And this is also a fairly significant volume level based on the volume profile. So if we end up holding and we see a definitive break to the upside above this EMA line, which it looks like we're slowly starting to form here, but we'll see. If we continue to hold above this EMA and the SMA line, I definitely see huge potential, or not huge, but I mean 10% potential. That's fairly big, either in this next week or the week to follow. But definitely keeping an eye on this one. The next one that we're going to be taking a look at is going to be KMX. This one's been performing fairly well. We caught this move from this SMA level all the way up to, I think it was 135, I believe we were at, or no, 131. So we were expecting this bounce, kind of similar to, what we're paying attention to usually is we're waiting for this pullback to happen, which we saw here. And we also saw this MACD pulling back, and then we saw this oversold territory or oversold, indicator telling us that it's been oversold. And so holding the SMA line, being oversold, MACD is beginning to reverse. It was pretty much a great setup for us to catch this trend back to the upside. Once we saw this break of the EMA, that was just more confirmation. I would say there's still about 2.7% profit potential up to previous highs. We have been heading up strong. So And that's just 2.7 to previous highs. I would not be surprised if this breaks this level and continues higher. So we'll definitely have to pay attention to that and see where that goes. The next one is going to be DBX. This one is Dropbox. So this one had a fairly strong pullback happen here. We ended up pulling back from this 28 level basically all the way down to 26. Longer term, it looks like we are holding, we're approaching this resistance line, which is now a support line. We ended up bouncing on the support line not once but twice here. And then now we are approaching this support line once again. This is also going to match up well with our SMA line. So we'll see, considering that we are oversold as well. We just probably want to stay a little bit more patient with this one, maybe for the next day or two, and kind of see how this plays out. However, from even current price points to recent highs, that's about 7.2% profit potential. Definitely keep up with the fundamentals of what's going on with this company. However, from a technical standpoint, this is presenting a fairly great pullback opportunity for us to jump in and grab this for a great deal. However, pay attention, like I said, don't forget when we looked at the SPY and the Nasdaq, we could potentially start pulling back with the market as a whole. So we don't want to jump in too early on these pullbacks. You don't want to catch a falling knife, right? You want to jump in right when you get confirmation. So once we see this bounce, if we see this bounce, once we see the bounce and we see a break of the EMA, that would be our confirmation for an entry point if our RSI and MACD align with that. So that's pretty much it for Dropbox. The next one we're going to take a look at is Intel, INTC. This one has pulled back to this support level that we're at. However, I could possibly expect a little bit more of a pullback happening here. Nevertheless, it is still a great opportunity to be paying attention to this and adding this to your watch list. So once again, we're watching this SMA line. We have bounced here on the SMA line. We've bounced here on the SMA line. We've bounced here on the SMA line. And we've been pretty much holding above this SMA line since, January, end of December. So I would expect if this does make lower lows, if we break this support and we make lower lows, I would expect to possibly see a bounce here at about 63. So that's where I'd be paying attention to this one. However, keep an eye on this one because this could bounce here as well. But definitely an interesting opportunity to paying attention to here. From current price points to recent highs, we're looking at about 5.9%. So that's pretty much that with Intel. Similar to Intel, we've got AMD. This one had a pullback as well. So this one had a fairly significant drop from, we were at about 83 to 79 now. We are at this support line, so we'll see if this holds. We are oversold here on the RSI. So if we do see a bounce, we just need some confirmation from the MACD for that, along with the confirmation of the EMA once we break the EMA. However, considering that we've had highs at about 99 just back in, end of January, this thing heading up from 79 to about 90, we've been kind of trading to the downside, making lower lows. This one, at this point, we still are making lower lows. However, I believe we are starting to consolidate a bit in the bigger picture here. We've just kind of been at these levels between 70, 77, 74, all the way to about 81. We've been about in that level for the last month, just up and down, up and down. So we are heading down here. However, we might see a bounce at this level. If not, I'd probably expect something around 75. That would be probably where I'd be paying attention to it next. The next one that I'm going to be paying attention to is BAC. This one's been trading to the upside strongly for pretty much the last 2-3 months. Overall, basically since November. However, since this last pullback that happened back in February, we're about a month and a half in of just a continuous uptrend, a step-by-step uptrend. So this isn't just, spiking to the upside. We've seen, consistent uptrends, a continuous uptrend happening on this one. So it looks like we're starting to curl here on the MACD, and we do have some some decent room to go before we are in the overbought area. So I do, see this potentially heading higher. One to pay attention to, it's been trending, bullishly for some time now. So might be one to consider to add to your watch list, or, potentially see if this is something that you're interested in yourself. The next one is going to be BABA. So we've been paying attention to this one for a very, very long time, basically since it started dipping down since 319. And just today, we ended up seeing a huge bounce. So the antitrust fine situation that happened with Alibaba has finally passed, and I think they're going to be putting that behind them now. So I see, huge potential on this one. If you've been stacking up on this at these lower levels, I think there's huge potential to the upside. If anything, we did break the SMA line today, and then we also just blew through the EMA line as well. We are a bit overbought, so we might see a bit of a pullback to maybe at one of these support levels. And then, I expect this longer term. This is more of a longer term play. Longer term, I expect this for sure to head at least back to, the 273 level. That's about 12%. If anything, longer term, we're looking at about 319. That's about 25%. This is a company, it really just depends. Is this a company that you see value in longer term or not? So I personally think that this is a great company long term. So snagging, some of the stock, you don't have to take on a massive position, but snagging some just for the long haul on this particular stock at these price points, I think I think it's a great, deal. That's not financial advice. That's just something that's my opinion. I've been doing that. And so that's what I just wanted to share with you guys. I think this has huge potential long term, and we'll see kind of what happens now. So after this antitrust situation has passed and now it's behind them, I feel like, sky's the limit. So that's pretty much that with Alibaba. The next one is going to be FSLY. So FSLY, we've been trading at this support level here for some time. We are approaching this SMA line, so we'll see if we end up breaking this SMA line. If we don't break the SMA line, we'll probably continue to consolidate. If anything, might see some pullback happening here. But we've been holding this support line fairly strong. We've seen a bounce here, saw a bounce here. We ended up bouncing here back in November. So this is a fairly strong support level. So even at 68.93, you're not too far away from this 62.24 level. That's been a very strong support. However, so your risk is about 6-7% if we go all the way back down to the support. However, your profit potential, if we're looking at recent highs, is about 42%. So the risk to reward ratio is definitely here. However, pay attention to the fundamentals of what's happening with this particular company, because anything can happen. I'm just here to show you guys the opportunities, and it's up to you guys to decide if that's something that you want to jump into, if it's something that you see value in, or if there's fundamental backing to it to support a theory that it's going to reverse and head to the upside and potentially hit back up to 120. So this one definitely has a very great risk reward ratio. The next one is going to be Draftkings Dkng. This one has been trending to the upside since basically November as well. We've been above this SMA line. We just recently ended up breaking this SMA line, and we found support on this upward trend line that we had here. However, we did end up just breaking it. So we are now approaching this support level. So at 56, pretty much $56. So we'll see if this holds or not. We did see a little bit of bullish price action here in the after hours after today. However, we'll see what happens tomorrow. This is a fairly decent pullback that's happened back from 74. So if we're looking at, from current price points to recent highs, that's about 20%. So, opportunity is definitely there. However, is it a good deal? You guys have to really look into if if the fundamentals back up, you jumping in on something like this at this price point, or if there's more pullback to happen. We are fairly overbought on the RSI. MACD looks like we're still heading down. No signs of a reversal just yet. I'd personally stay a little bit more patient with this one. I'd rather miss out on a little bit of a move to the upside, but definitely get confirmation that we're heading to the upside than to jump in right now and hope that it goes to the upside. So that's kind of the game plan with DKNG. Definitely adding this one to your watch list if you guys don't already have it. The next one is going to be GoPro, is GPRO. This one has been doing very, very well. We caught this move down here when we ended up bottoming out. If you guys watch a few of the weekly stock talks back, you'll actually see us talking about this a couple of weeks ago, about this particular setup right here. And then we ended up seeing a huge bounce that happened right up here. That was about an 84% move. We ended up seeing another pullback happen here. We talked about this move as well. We actually caught this move as well to the upside, and now we're seeing another pullback. So the next level that I'd be paying attention to would be this $10 level. But we'll see. We did get some bullish price action once again and after hours on this one. But like I say, don't jump in too early. Make sure that you get confirmation before you jump into a particular stock. So at this point, we're still looking like we're heading to the downside. I'd be paying attention to this 1080 level, and then potentially seeing another bounce here if we find some support. We have support here. We've had support here. So, we had a resistance here. So this is a fairly significant level. Also, if we're looking at, the volume profile, this is also a fairly significant level at that 1080 mark. So definitely pay attention to this one. Add this one to your watch list. The next one we're going to take a look at is Race. This is also one we've been talking about for some time now, pretty much ever since this thing has pulled back this much. Since it's been pulling back since January, we've kind of been discussing it. Once again, take a look at some of our previous weekly stock talks. We've been talking about Race for some time. We did see a significant price movement up, 15%. We did break the SMA line. So now it's just a matter of holding. The MACD looks like it's starting to curl to the upside. So we might be potentially making higher highs from here. We have plenty of room to run on the RSI. So from current price points to previous highs, we're looking at about 9%. And this is just more of a company that, do you see value in this company? This is Ferrari. It's just this was a personal interest for me. And so that's why I've started looking into this one, and it ended up playing out very well. So longer term, I think this company has great potential, obviously. So we'll see. The current setup for this week looks fairly promising. So definitely one to pay attention to and add to your watch list. The next one is going to be DISCA. DISCA. So this one had a huge pullback here from the 79.59 level all the way down to the 39 level. And we've been kind of talking about this one for some time. We have been consolidating here. We do have some analyst actions with Deschutes Bank adjusting the price target on Discovery to $60 from $35. And they're maintaining a buy rating on this. So we've also seen, some options action on this as well. So definitely one to be paying attention to. Look into the fundamentals down here. Check out what's been happening lately. However, like I said, from a technical standpoint, we have been consolidating. The fundamentals seem to be backing up the theory of a potential reversal and a bounce off of this level here. We are overbought. We were very overbought here. We're still overbought at this level here, even though we've been sort of consolidating here, not doing much. And so I would not be surprised if we saw at least a bounce to, the $56 level, if not 60, as the analysts are suggesting. However, even that is about a 40% bounce. If we head all the way back up to up to 50, the SMA is about a 28% bounce. Previous highs would be about 49%. So huge opportunity here, but definitely pay attention to this support level here at that 39.79 mark. If we do end up breaking this support level, we are probably going to head down to downside. So just a warning. However, while we're still consolidating, I don't see a reason to be panicking. If anything, be watching this one carefully in case we do start making a move to the upside. You don't want to be missing this one. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be SKLZ. So this one's been selling off for a very long time. We did end up breaking this the support level here that we had. However, the reason I wanted to bring it up is, well, obviously we are overbought or oversold here on this one, but I do expect this to probably make a little bit of a move to the downside still. I don't expect this to be bouncing significantly. However, longer term, I think this company is going to do fairly well. So, paying attention to this one and adding this to your watch list and keeping an eye on this one for when we do see a reversal, I think it would be very rewarding at the end of the day if you just stay patient with this one and wait for that confirmation of a break to the upside. As of right now, we've just been making lower highs and lower lows. And we are below the EMA line. We are below the SMA line. The only thing that, we've got on our side here is the fact that, it is a bit oversold. But once again, we did end up breaking the support level. So if anything, the next area of opportunity that I'd be paying attention to is about, it would be between $11 and about $14. We're about at 16 right now. So if we make, lower lows to about those levels, that's when I'd be fairly excited about this one. However, definitely pay attention to this, because if it does all of a sudden start making a move to the upside, you don't want to miss this one either. From current price points to, let's just say, recent highs, that'd be about 50%. All-time highs, that'd be about 65%. Up to the SMA line, that's about 38%. And the SMA line is where we got rejected previously. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we got rejected there again, but still, a move of 35% is not bad at all. Definitely be keeping this one on your radar and paying attention to this one. Add this to your watch list, because you never know when this thing can turn around. So the next one is going to be Boeing. This one looks like we're starting to curl here on the MACD, and a potential bounce on the RSI. Once again, we've been holding above this SMA line. We've ended up bouncing again, and now it looks like we're approaching it. Potential bounce. We'll see if this breaks the EMA line here at about 251. I would not be surprised if we started pushing away to the upside, especially with the MACD kind of supporting that for us. And RSI, we have, a ton of room to run before we become overbought. And so I think this is a great company. I think overall this is going to do fairly well in the coming weeks. So add this one to your watch list as well and determine if that's a great opportunity for you. So that's going to be it, guys, for this week. If you guys found any value in this, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. Give me that like, and that definitely helps out the algorithm. It gets this pushed out to more people. If you guys aren't subscribed, we do this weekly, drop these opportunities weekly. So if you guys want to make sure that you guys get notified when these drop, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on next week's video.